Hello, this is my mini lesson on what my expectations are for my students when they are in the classroom and online in terms of their behavior and interactions as responsible digital citizens. The first thing that I think is most important in terms of digital citizenship is the ability to watch out for and report strange activity on the internet. This can be any number of things, but for most students, it could be, most likely is going to be, inappropriate content that they come into contact with while doing research for homework. This is usually violent or sexual material in some way, and it is extremely common for students to stumble upon this type of material when doing research on sites that typically do not follow CIPA guidelines for child safety, meaning they don't have age restrictions or secondary blocks on that type of content if they do have age restrictions. The second thing that I have listed for my digital citizenship expectations is respecting oneself and their peers while online. This is a huge one. In my area, there is a very high suicide rate, and a lot of childhood suicides result from bullying. So, cyberbullying is the new bullying, and it is important that as educators, we teach students how to not engage in this type of behavior, but also not stand by and let it happen. A lot of students will just not want to be involved in this type of behavior, and so they just won't tell anyone. But the big thing about cyberbullying is that you need to let somebody know, even if it's not happening to you, or even if it's your friend that's doing the cyberbullying, because it is psychologically and mentally damaging to the person that's being bullied, and more likely than not, the person that's doing the bullying has also been mentally damaged in some way, or is being bullied themselves. So, respecting oneself and others means not just the self-degradation that we see in the form of memes and jokes, but also taking charge and knowing when enough is enough and when joking goes beyond joking and into bullying territory, and reporting it to the person who it needs to be reported to, who can actually do some good. The third thing that I would be expecting in my classroom is using trusted sources and information online. This is a big one because in our modern society, fake news is huge, and finding information that is not only factually correct but is also not purposely spreading misinformation is going to be a big deal. And so, when working with those types of students who are going to be doing heavier research, not like lower elementary, even then, you could start then, but working with upper elementary onward students, it's important to teach them not only how to find information that is factually correct, but also to check the information that they do have for factual correctness and for misinformation. So using fact-checking websites and looking at the URL to see if it contains a .org, or even then, that one's a little sketchy sometimes. Mostly .edu because it's coming from an educational site. Looking at dates and looking at who published it and what their background is big. Not only just for digital citizenship and to help stop the spread of misinformation, but also to continue on the legacy of academia being involved in facts and factual information, and the inferences that we do get from those factual informations. But that all has to come from an accurate and reliable source, first of all. The fourth aspect that I expect my students as digital citizens to accomplish is not sharing private information with strangers. Everybody was taught stranger danger. Everybody was taught to not go with people who offer you candy or to offer to let you play with their puppies, but those things don't happen as much anymore as the people who make fake friend profiles online to add your child as a friend, or who are even influencers and are asking underage people for sexually explicit material online, and it's really a shame. First of all, that we let it happen, and second of all, because it is so prevalent, and yet students, mostly children, but teenagers as well, feel that they'll be punished for reporting these people who do this. Instead of feeling empowered by that process, they feel degraded. And it's mostly because they feel that their parents will think less of them for doing so. And unfortunately, in some cases, that's true. But as educators, we need to let the students know that we are not there to judge them. We are not there to, tell them that they shouldn't have been on that site in the first place. So what did you expect? We're there to help them get through any trauma that may have happened from the encounter, to report it to authorities if it's a threat of actual physical contact, and to report it to the people on the website, because more than likely those people don't know. And so it's important that we not judge these kids, because it's what they are. They're kids. They don't know any better. And teaching them to do this preemptively is the best strategy. But then also teaching them to take control and be calm while it's happening is good as well. So not only just telling them don't talk to strangers, but telling them if you do talk to a stranger, here's what you do next. And finally, my last bit of digital citizenship is taking breaks and knowing when to take breaks from the internet as a whole and from screens. Kids are glued to their phones. We know this. I'm glued to my phone. A lot of other millennial teachers probably will be as well. And it's more than just the need for stuff. It's more than just the need for constant contact. There's an actual psychological connection that a person has to their phone, and a lot of people who do not have their phones will feel actual symptoms of anxiety without it. So it goes back again to not judging our students, but it is important to take breaks, not only to rest your eyes, but to rest your mind. With coronavirus, I know that a lot of people were doom scrolling, which is when you continually find and search for negative information or depressing information and just keep scrolling through it. During coronavirus, a lot of the information was inherently negative, so it wasn't that hard to do. But kids are starting to do it as well. If they have negative information coming at them from their social media, then they have nowhere else to turn to prevent it from becoming either a primary or a vicarious trauma. And so taking breaks from the technology is important, not just at home, but as educators, going outside, playing games, not just always turning to watching a movie or a video for entertainment. Maybe have them read a book, or write a story, or draw a picture, listen to music, that type of thing, to engage other parts of the brain while we let our eyes rest and our brains refocus for the future work, because it will inevitably happen. We have to get back to work. But taking a break and going outside, or taking a break and doing something else, is very important. So those are my big expectations. I think there were 5. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 5 expectations for my classroom, for my students. Behaviors as digital citizens. So as a quick summary, those were reporting suspicious activity to an adult, respecting oneself and their peers while online, finding and using trusted sources to find information, not talking to strangers, and remembering to take breaks. Thank you very much, and I hope that was good.